Hello, we are recording. Welcome to a beautiful sleep and stress. So we're going to cover emotions tonight as well, because those two are like peas and carrots. A bit of a masterclass for everyone to dive a little bit deeper into what sleep is, what kind of things can impact our quality of sleep. We were just chatting a little bit before we started recording then, for the people that are joining us live, about some of the sleep problems that they're having. Sometimes people struggle to fall asleep. Sometimes people are tired when they wake up. Whatever the reason is, we're going to be able to work through that tonight. Okay, make sure that you leave here with some solutions. Hey Tammy, thanks for joining us, darling. I'm just going to pop you on mute. Perfect. Thank you so much, Louise, for inviting us to have this class tonight. And for anyone who is watching the replay, just make sure that if you don't yet have the oils and you want them in your life after watching this, make sure that you go back to the person who introduced you to this webinar. If that is Louise or myself, just come back to us. And if you don't have the oils yet and you want to get them in the next 24 hours, actually even it's probably less than that at the moment with end of month, there's a special deal as well that I'm going to share with everyone. But for now, we're going to teach you about essential oils, about sleep and essential oils and natural solutions and the whole kit and caboodle, the brain, stress, emotions, and how they're all interconnected. Alrighty, and so please, if you haven't already become familiar, use the chat function if you're joining us live. Sorry for those recording, you miss out, but I'm glad that you can watch it. So for those who don't know, my name is Hayley. Lou can wave, say hello, co-host here. She's monitoring the chat, and a very beautiful friend of mine who has wonderful, amazing knowledge of women's health as well. So she'll be great here for the Q&A if needed. But I mean, we're both mothers. Oh, you're not a wife yet, are you? We're just mothers, aren't we? We've got significant men in our life. Certified essential oil specialist. I'm an emotions mentor as well as a women's health coach. But our job tonight is to empower you to not either bring essential oils into your life or understand how to use them, particularly around things like sleep, stress, and emotions, because that's what we're talking about tonight. So just a reminder that I'm an educator. I'm not here to treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure. We're here to share personal advice, experiences, and years of knowledge, as well as research. But if you are under medical supervision, please just speak to your healthcare provider. The beautiful thing when we're talking about sleep and stress, from my perspective, it's a no-brainer because, when we're working with something that's natural, that supports our body, we just seem to get those results, and it doesn't cause harm, right? It doesn't cause issues, which is a really beautiful thing, something that we can use complementary, right? So I like to start most of my classes with this saying: is the greatest medicine of all is to teach people how not to need it. And I think this is really, really important, because at the end of the day, our body is designed to thrive. And I feel like Mother Nature provides us everything that we need in order to do so. Sometimes we just have to get out of its way. And we have to stop interrupting the natural process. And when we can use plants to work with the human body, and I'll explain a little bit why that's the case, and that can be work. And when we're talking about sleep and stress, this is really critical. I'm going to actually show you the pathway of that these processes may play in the body, and the flow-on effects that, if that doesn't occur correctly, can be quite devastating actually. So for instance, when we're talking about sleep, I don't know, maybe people who have sleep issues, maybe if they're joining us live, have you been prescribed something like melatonin, for instance? It's very common. I was actually just speaking to a mother the other day who was actually even prescribed melatonin for her children because they were having trouble sleeping. Now, I understand that, and I'll teach you what melatonin is tonight. It is a hormone that is produced in the brain that goes to the body to to encourage deep, relaxing, restorative sleep. Now, what happens is if we don't produce enough of that because of lots of reasons, and I'll also share why we might not be producing enough melatonin, the medical system, the modern approach is to synthesize it in the body, right? Which can have great support, but you're still synthesizing something that the body should be making naturally. So what would happen if we could actually support the body to make the melatonin itself better, to be more efficient, right? or maybe to look at stress that's actually impacting the cortisol, reducing the cortisol that's impacting the melatonin. So what this means is, rather than taking a modern approach like, oh, you're not sleeping, let's look at the symptom and let's focus on melatonin, when we could look at a holistic approach, we could go, okay, well, we can work on the sleep side of things, but maybe, well, what's causing that? Let's look at your stress as well. What's the root cause of the low melatonin? And maybe we can work on that as well, right? And so you get a bit of both, which is really, really powerful without the side effects. Now, all of these areas, I'm not going to go a lot into tonight because I really want to leave the time to discuss particularly just sleep. But I want you to understand that all of these areas can impact on our sleep. So for instance, if we're not eating well, it's going to impact on our sleep. If we're eating too late at night, our digestive system fires up. And that can mean we can also have trouble falling to sleep. Exercise. Exercise is a really good type of stress on the body. However, if we do it too late in the day, we can have too much cortisol in the body due to the exercise, and that takes a long time to leave the body, which can also inhibit our ability to fall asleep. Resting and managing stress. If we have too much stress in the body, and this can be chemical stress, it can be environmental stress, it can be even just cognitive stress, like as in worries or financial stress or emotional stress. These can all impact the way that our body actually can relax, and hence fall into that relaxation state where the melatonin can come into our body. Reducing our toxic load can also be devastating. Now, this is also to do around organs and detoxification. So Louise knows this well with the Chinese circle of the clock, the body clock. And I'm going to show you what that is in a minute. But just, I want you to take note that if there's a particular time that you may be waking up in the middle of the night, it's very common to be around 2, 3 a.m. That would be the liver, right? Because that's when the liver is working its hardest to cleanse itself and to restore itself before the next day. So if you have a high toxic load for whatever reason, then your liver may be working a little bit too hard, okay? Or the respiratory system. People cough and clear their respiratory system in the morning because that clears around 4, 5 a.m. Okay, so there's really common things that are connected here, all right? So when we're looking at essential oils and sleep in particular, we can actually use essential oils in 3 different ways. The first way is topical use. Now, a lot of you that will be watching this will already have essential oils in their life. Just remember, when we're putting essential oils onto our skin, that we use a carrier oil. Now, my choice of carrier oil is fractionated coconut oil. I love the Doterra one. It's in a nice little bottle. It's easy to, get out of the bottle. And all I need to do is put a drop of essential oil and a squirt of that carrier oil, and then I rub it on my body. So the best place to apply essential oils for sleep is in a few areas. 1, the feet. Just start there. The reason for that is, well, particularly the big toe is the pressure point for the brain. And so it's a really great way for that to, even from a reflexology perspective, to actually support the whole body. The other areas I love to apply essential oils for sleep is over the chest, over the heart. 1, it's because I can smell it. So if I don't have a diffuser running, it's like a natural diffuser. 2, a lot of the emotions we store are in our chest. And so if we're using an emotional oil to support our sleep, it's a really good location. And then, of course, at the back of our neck and our pulse points are another beautiful place to apply sleep oils before bed, because it's just really easy access into our body, and particularly at the base of our skull, because it has beautiful access into the brain. Now, aromatic use, which is our second type of using essential oils for sleep, is in a diffuser, right? So if you have a diffuser, comment in the chat boxes how many you have. I know I definitely started with 1, and then all of a sudden every single person in the house needed one in their own bedrooms because I got sick of moving it around. Or at the beginning, I had to choose which child needed, the diffuser the most, and kind of have to pick favorites until they got their own. But the main thing is understanding that aromatic use for sleep is extremely powerful. And I'm going to go through the aromatic aromatherapy benefits in a minute. So you're going to love that, because it's really going to put into perspective what actually is happening when you're smelling an essential oil and how that's moving through your body. Very powerful. And then the final way is we can actually use essential oils in food as flavoring. And there are some essential oils that can be taken in that way for sleep. So you could think about making a nice calming tea. I know like a beautiful one like lime and fennel is great if you're needing some support with digestion just before bed. We would know Roman chamomile is very calming. Lavender is very calming. And yes, you can take lavender in this way as well. In fact, studies have proven that the internal use of lavender is actually more effective at calming than the topical use of lavender. So that is why when you look at some of the doTERRA products like the Serenity soft gels, there's actually lavender flower in those little soft gels, not the oil, the flower itself, because they've been clinically shown to have really beautiful calming effects on the body. So just know that you can use them in 3 different ways. And actually a little bit of a sleep bomb. I don't know if you've ever done this one, Louise, vetiver and lavender in a veggie cap. That's quite popular as well for that bedtime support. All right, this is why it's really, really important to understand the benefits of aromatherapy and why we love using essential oils when it comes to sleep. So when we smell an essential oil, it goes up our nose, into our brain, and particularly into our limbic system. And so most people understand that when you smell something, it's going to make you feel happy potentially, or calming, or even disgusted. It's going to, depending on if you like it or not, it's going to have a physical response in the body. It could even stimulate a memory. The thing that when we're talking about sleep in particular is that we want to get an aromatic anchor for bedtime. And as a mother, this is really critical when we're training small babies and children to help them to sleep, to give them that aromatic anchor that, okay, brain, it's time, let's go. Okay. And the reason why this is really, really powerful is the fact that it goes down into our pituitary gland, and also in there is our pineal gland. Okay. And the pineal gland is actually what is responsible for producing that melatonin. So if we have a gland in our brain that is actually responsible for making the sleep hormone, and that would actually get accessed by aromatherapy, wouldn't you think that that's a beautiful flow-on effect support for sleep? Not just, oh, this smells nice, right? Of course it's going to smell nice, but it's going to have these other beautiful effects. Now, the other thing that I want you to remind you is the flow-on effect when we're looking at emotions, because a lot of the time, the second you lay your head on the pillow, the thoughts start racing. Okay, and so it's emotional support that we also need at bedtime. And the reason why I also love aromatherapy for the emotional side of things is particularly when we look at, so the line that goes from the pituitary gland down to the adrenals. Okay, because what happens if we click over to the right-hand side of this graphic is the adrenals are what spikes our cortisol. Okay, so when we have a stressful event in the brain, even if we're making it up, or having a conversation in our head and playing both people, I mean, who can relate to this? The second you lie down, all of a sudden you're like thinking of the thing you should have done, the thing you shouldn't have done, the conversation you should have had, the conversation you shouldn't have, or something that happened 10 years ago that you wish you could go back and revisit, right? And so the brain thinks that this is happening right now, because remember, the brain doesn't have eyes. So all of a sudden that brain is sending out chemical signals through the pituitary gland to create a stress hormone in the body, and we're actually creating cortisol while we're trying to get to sleep, which is the opposite of what we need at that point of time. So if we can have something that can interrupt that, good news, we have some great suggestions, but this is why, okay? And then, of course, if we're putting it on our skin, it's also going into our body and supporting lots of different areas. Now, the reason why essential oils are so effective, I just like to put this in there, is because, well, plants are made up of very similar building blocks as animals. And you can see that here when we've dissected a cell. A plant cell is the green one and an animal cell is the red one. And so when we have similar building blocks, the reason why the essential oils are created in the first place is for the plant's benefit. And that's why when we come into contact with them, they're in a familiar environment and they know how to go to work. Our body knows what to do with them, and they can naturally metabolize out. Okay, so it's a really safe and effective way to get support. All right, so just never forget that. So the first question I want to ask is like, do you experience stress? Because, and when I say stress, I want you to think of physical stress, chemical stress, financial stress, emotional stress, familial stress. Anyone got a family member that causes them stress? There's lots of different types of little stresses that can, like even environmental stress, even the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the things we listen to, the things we watch, you know, all of these things can play in either on a conscious or subconscious level. And so here's a graphic from before, but what this actually means is, you know, it can cause fatigue, reduced concentration, decreased mood, changes in our skin tone. Like, we've got to understand that we're spending 1/3 of our life in bed, okay? 1/3 of our life asleep. And that's only an 8-hour bed sleep time, right? And like, if you're not getting that amount, that's okay. Some people need more, but it's still a huge proportion. And so what we'll talk about is like sleep hygiene as well for this important factor. But, you know, if we're not managing the stress, we can't manage the sleep, okay? And we have to also understand that it can also, you know, impact our blood glucose levels. It can impact our ability to absorb nutrients. It can impact our immune system. It can impact our hormones and our cortisol levels. And it can impact our muscle breakdown at a much faster rate, our aging at a much faster rate. And so I hope you're okay with me actually talking about this first, because if we don't understand this, it's really going to be hard to chase our tail. It's basically like trying to empty a bucket of water, but still having a hose stuck in it. All right. The hose is the stress. We're trying to tip it out to get a good night's sleep. All right. So we need to do both to make it really, really effective. Oops. So the other thing, I guess, is emotions. So all different types of emotions, we feel them differently in the body. And this is going to be relevant for people that are watching us. But I just love this graphic because I'm a very visual learner. And so all emotions show up differently in the body. And I actually was blown away by this because I never quite could understand how someone could feel anxious and depressed at the same time. And when you look at this, you can actually see the anxiety is a lot of heat in the center part. And then depression is actually a lack of circulation in the limbs, right? Which is why we don't want to get up. We don't want to move. We don't want to do anything when we're depressed, right? So it's really important to understand, you know, how we're feeling and that we have tools to support ourselves through this. Now, people who already have the oils, I hope that you've already got these 4 or 5 here. I mean, this little picture here is of a starter kit for people who really need support in like sleep and emotions. But regardless of your journey and where you are right now in your journey, these 5 oils are really, really important to support yourself no matter where you are in your day. So if you're feeling happy and you want to feel happier, pick the uplifting ones. If you're feeling sad and you don't want to feel that way, pick the happy ones. If you're feeling sad, pick the happy ones because it's going to uplift the mood, right? Or maybe if you're feeling stressed or anxious, pick the grounding ones because it's going to help change those signals that are coming out of the brain. Where's my little marker? Here she is. So as far as getting enough sleep, everyone's going to be a little bit different. Maybe if you could pop in the chat how many hours of sleep you get per night, and then if you wake up feeling refreshed. Or do you wake up in the middle of the night? Like, what is, I'm just looking in the chat box, I can't see it at the moment. What is your normal sleep routine? Do you fall asleep early and then wake up early? Do you wear yourself out to the bone in the middle of, you know, and go to bed like at midnight? Because if you go to bed any earlier, you just can't switch off your mind. So you basically grind yourself into the ground in pure exhaustion just so that you can just get some kind of sleep. Let's have a look here. Oh, we've got, so Julie's saying she must have 8 hours. I'm a bit the same. Oh, so we've got, so Julie's got a few diffusers in her house. 3 spare diffusers just in case. Oh gosh, that's pretty serious. All right, we'll keep going. So these are the things that are really, really important when we're looking at sleep. So concentrate on the graphic over on the left-hand side. And if it's a bit small, if you're on your phone, I apologize, but I hope that you can at least see the black line, the white line, and the red zone, okay? So the black line is the one we're going to talk about first. What do you think that represents? Can anyone tell me what they think the black line represents? Hey, Ali, I try to have 8 hours. I actually love going to bed early, and then sometimes I'll binge and indulge in mum time and regret it in the morning. Been there, totally get it. So the black line is the cortisol, okay? And so what happens is our body is really, really smart. Sunlight actually encourages our brain to make cortisol. Oh, we've got Sarah. I'm just going to pop you on mute, darling. When the sun comes up, the light goes into our eyes, and it actually encourages our. Hang on. There we go. It encourages our brain to make cortisol. So you'll actually feel it tomorrow morning when you first wake up. You'll feel your heart go, and it will start beating really, really fast. Okay, it's actually what wakes us up. It's really, really handy. Okay. It's then supposed to dwindle out throughout the day, okay, until the sun goes down, and that's the brain's signal to start to create melatonin. Up it comes, have this beautiful restorative sleep, and then when the sun comes up the next morning, guess what? The cortisol kicks back in. Unfortunately, 6 a.m. in the morning is not normally the most stressful time of the day. And so what we find in the modern world is that we can have a prolonged period of stress, a prolonged triggers of stress throughout the day. Sometimes it goes up and down. It can look different for each person. Sometimes they might not have a really stressful life, but they might do exercise at 8 o'clock at night. They might go to the gym or play a game, like a basketball game. My husband used to play basketball at like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and then he couldn't go to bed till midnight because he just couldn't wind down. Okay, so what happens is until the cortisol gets out of your body, then the melatonin can kick in, right? But look how much space you've lost of that restorative part of sleep. You're getting the same amount of sleep, but you're not getting the same quality of sleep, okay? And so I've got some suggestions of what we can do in a minute on how to support that. I might just mention them now here because I don't want to forget. So one is like light. If you have to be on the computer at nighttime, you can wear blue blocker glasses. Now, you can get ones with clear lenses. I've had these for years, and they're the good old orange ones. But it's amazing the difference that this makes. It blocks the blue light because guess what blue light is? It tells the brain to make cortisol because that's what the sun does. Okay, and at nighttime, we're not supposed to be doing that. So, not having blue light going into our eyes just before bedtime is really good. Stimulants, they increase cortisol in the body. So if you're having caffeine after 12 p.m., 12 lunchtime, caffeine has a 12-hour half-life. Okay, so technically speaking, if you're having a coffee at 10 a.m. in the morning, it's still in your body, in your system at 10 p.m. at night. All right, so if you're having trouble sleeping, I would start maybe to get off of that, or at least replace it with something like cacao, because cacao will give you a prolonged release of support throughout the body, and it's not going to give you a crash, and it's not going to spike your cortisol. In fact, it's probably going to even calm that side of things. Don't eat too late before bedtime either. So if you're eating too close to bed, like within 1 to 2 hours of sleep, then your digestive system is going to be too activated, and that can really impact people as well. Stay hydrated before you go to bed. I know lots of people say that they wake up to go to the toilet. Unless there's issues with your bladder, it's probably because you're coming into a too light of sleep, and it's just a routine that you're having of like, I need to go to the toilet. But I find that if I'm dehydrated, I actually have a worse sleep than if I'm hydrated. Just a few tips. Now, regardless of if you're a member or not, these are the real major players for sleep. If you're new and you don't have any of these oils, you can actually buy this as a wellness box on your monthly order at a discounted price. Yes, Doterra, very kind. Or for new members, you can actually purchase this, and it includes a free wholesale account as well. But the reason why I'm saying this is peace is going to help you during the day. If you get a bit anxious, it's really going to help calm that worry, to help, I guess, calm the farm, just as things arise during the day. Balance is going to do the same thing. Balance for me is that grounding support that just keeps you level-headed. And I would actually use that proactively, where peace I would probably apply topically if I'm actually starting to feel a little bit anxious, where balance I would just put on the soles of my feet first thing in the morning. Lunch, whenever I can get a hold of it, I'd be jumping onto the balance. Lavender peace is something that I would be diffusing at bedtime. It is an amazing sleep blend. It's got lavender, it's got Roman chamomile, it's got cedarwood, it's got vetiver, it's got, oh gosh, what are some of the other ones in there? It's got all the sleep oils. Basically every single sleep oil you could possibly imagine is in that blend. It's a beautiful elixir for sleep. And then cedarwood and vetiver we're going to talk about in a minute when it comes to the brain. But cedarwood's going to really encourage the deep sleep. In fact, one of my girlfriends had a lot of trouble with her little girl. I think she's 2.5, with sleep, and she was trying all the oils, but she's just gone for cedarwood on the feet, rubbing it in the big toe, and that's been a game changer for her. And then vetiver is known as a liquid tranquilizer. It is a root from Haiti. And it's like, when you think of what a root is, it's like really grounding, right? So it's like a big rock in your lap. And so if you really need that extra, like getting out of the head into the body, grounding energy, then vetiver is going to be beautiful for you. And finally, adaptive. Adaptive would have to be one of the new shining members of the doTERRA essential oil community. Adaptive is not in that kit, but if you aren't a member yet, you will actually get a bottle of this for free in a little touch. This has been clinically trialed to reduce stress in the body, and it's just phenomenal. It's also going to boost the mood. So for those people who worry a lot at night, and maybe you're really tired, but you're a bit anxious and you actually just kind of need to be happy and relaxed, adaptive is a beautiful oil for that. All right. It's really going to help with daily maintenance. This is a perfect wind down diffuser blend with a lavender piece and adaptive are my two favorite. Cooking dinner, winding the kids down, turning the lights down low. This is the transition now into the shower, bed, book, the whole lot, right? It's a really beautiful routine. Now, the reason why I wanted to cover the pituitary gland is because a lot of the oils that we use for sleep are going to help so many areas in the body. So, even if you are just using a drop of frankincense or a drop of cedarwood or a drop of vetiver for another reason, understand that it's also going to be supporting so many other areas in the body, just because it's going to support parts of the body to do the thing that they're designed to do. Okay. And at the end of the day, we have a pituitary gland that sends out all the hormones into the body to do all the things, right? And if we can nourish it with what it needs, then for me, that means it's going to function better. And that means very good things in a long-term life of wellness and happiness. The other thing that I think I need to talk about is these 3 little bottles, because everything in the body is connected. And at the end of the day, if we have an issue with detoxification or our liver not functioning properly, well, then we might be waking up in the middle of the night. If we have an issue with stress management and emotions, then maybe we're not going to be managing our cortisol during the day, and that's going to impact the quality of sleep we have at nighttime. If we can't relax, then maybe we've got pain or discomfort in our body, we've got too much inflammation in our body, then we can't actually rest because we're actually, uncomfortable, right? Physically uncomfortable. And then we don't sleep well at night. And if you need at least one thing that's going to tick all the boxes, it would have to be this. And if you haven't tried it yet, you need to. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So it's literally a win-win. You can try this for 30 days. And if you haven't had any type of improvement in your mental clarity, in your sleep, in your skin tone, in your digestive support, in My hair, skin, nails probably took a little bit longer than 60 days, but my mood was the first thing that got supported when I was taking Lifelong Vitality, to the point where even today I was in the worst mood. Like, Ben just asked about literally washing my skirt, and I went off at him. I'm like, oh my God, who is this person? Like that. It was unacceptable response to someone trying to help me to do the washing. And I realized I hadn't taken my Lifelong Vitality for 2 days. And I'm like, oh yeah, all right. It definitely makes a significant difference. Now, some more areas on how to improve our sleep. All right. So I've covered this a little bit. So I've talked about removing stimulants and screen time before bed. We didn't talk about creating a wind down routine. Now, who here has children? And who has wind down routines for those children? I do. Anyone else? Do you know, like as a mother, like I apologize if there's people on here watching this who don't have children, but for me as a mother and for my sheer sanity, it was like, I've got to get this thing figured out, or otherwise I'm going to have no time to myself. Sarah saying yes, yes, and yes. Okay. But where it goes wrong is when we stop giving the same luxury to ourselves, right? We stop giving ourselves a wind down routine, and we think for some reason, all of a sudden, because we're older, we can just walk into bed and go to sleep. It's like, well, actually it doesn't tend to work that way. Not for everyone anyway. I know there's some children that can just put themselves to bed. My children were not those children. So I want you to think about your inner child for just a little bit and go, what do they need to be able to wind down? Now, also knowing human design, and for anyone who's been following me for a little while, there are some significant parts in a human design chart that for some people, they need to go to bed before they're tired. They can, if they go get wired and tired, like if they wear themselves out too much, it just doesn't work, right? But then there are some other types that need to actually remove all of that energy in their body. If they've had a too sedentary day, they're going to have too much energy at bedtime. And so I think something that I can recommend for all types of people is to be productive and not busy. All right. Be productive, because I think as an adult, if we go to bed with a smile on our face that knows that we've accomplish something, even if it's little, right? Try and not fall victim to busy, and just have 3 things a day, just 3 things that you can tick off. And so when you go to bed, you can go, I did that, be proud of yourself. And that's going to do a lot for the voices inside the head that maybe potentially could be beating you up for all the things you didn't do. All right. I've got a mozzie in here. Where's my Terra Armor when I need it? Okay, so some beautiful calming oils: lavender, lavender peace, vetiver, balance, and copaiba. Funny enough that basically all of those are in that bedtime bliss box. Relaxing essential oils: marjoram. Marjoram is an amazing sleep oil. Did you know that? It's really beautiful for the physical body. Okay, the relaxation of the physical body. Same with frankincense, and again, copaiba. So if you hold any tension in your body, then I'd recommend that. In fact, if you would love a really beautiful diffuser blend that doesn't include lavender, or roller bottle blend, and my husband loves this one because he's not a big floral fan. So it's marjoram, frankincense, cedarwood, and vetiver. Those 4 together are just magic. The reason I put in here lifts the moods and silence the mind, because sometimes we can be really, really tired, but we can't shut off the brain. And so something like wild orange can actually be really supportive. It's actually calming to the central nervous system and uplifting to the mood. So I don't know if I've told this story much about my daughter. So my son's a pretty good sleeper, and he's a good sleeper. I won't bore you too much with the physical reasons for doing that, but he just gets 2 drops of lavender on his pillow and he's out. He's out. It's that easy. I don't even have to put the diffuser on. I literally put the drop of oil directly onto the linen, and because our oils just evaporate so that they don't leave stains or anything like that. My daughter Emma, not so easy. Okay, so even though I spent 6 months buying all the different things in my monthly order, each month I'd get a different sleep oil to try for her, and it was like, kind of helped, kind of didn't, until I let her pick. I said, what do you want for bedtime, babe? Because obviously what I'm doing isn't working. And she picked wild orange. And I'm like, all right, let's go with that. Like, I normally use it for morning because that's what I'm told, but let's give it a go at bedtime. And I kid you not, she just put a big smile on her face and she's like, all right, Mum, good night. And she let me leave the room without the 20,000 questions, you know? And I'm like, wow, okay, I need to look into why that actually just happened. And as I said, it's calming to the system, but uplifting to the mind. She didn't have to be worried about missing something or worried about what was going to happen tomorrow, right? She could just be happy that she had a good day and that she's safe and loved and she can go to bed. The pituitary gland, cedarwood, frankincense, same with the pineal gland as well for that one. And if you're talking to yourself in your head, my most favorite, I mean, I love the peace touch. I love the peace touch over the heart space in this area, but the forgive touch over the heart and the console touch right over the brow, those two are really, really powerful. One, forgive, because we need to release stuff. If we're not releasing stuff before we go to bed, then we're going to be working through it on a subconscious level. And that can be happening in dreams, or if you don't remember our dreams, something's still going on. And so what forgive does is it can actually go to work in our body to support ourselves while we're sleeping in that unconscious state, right? And it can help release a lot of the things. And if you haven't yet seen the study, I think it was done by, I can't remember. They studied all the emotional aromatherapy oils, and forgive diffused was the one oil that shifted the most emotions out of all of them, all right? Because it's forgiveness of self first and allows us to release all the things that we're holding on to that's keeping it unhealthy for us. And then console, because sometimes we just need a big old hug and that everything's going to be okay. And that's what that does. So yeah, love applying those two together. Ali says, adds wild orange to cart. Sounds like I'm trying wild orange tonight. Well, like, don't shoot the messenger if it doesn't work for you. I'm just saying it works for my daughter. And this is the thing is with sleep is that trust yourself and don't stick to the rules. All right. Some people love peppermint at bedtime. Some people like past tense at bedtime. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's the emotional connection to the oil that's going to be supporting us more than the constituents in there from a physical perspective. Just trust yourself. All right. Just know that you've got options. You've got options. And if you've got a box of oils, or if you have, I don't care if you've got, well, hopefully you've got more than two. But hopefully your collection is growing. And like, close your eyes before, like if you're having trouble sleeping, and or even if you've woken up in the middle of the night and you cannot get back to sleep, go to your box of oils, take a deep breath, close your eyes and go, what do I need to know? Or what's going to help me most in this moment, right? And let your hands, like my hands just hover over the box and my finger just falls down onto a bottle. Let it guide you. Let your intuition guide you as to what's going to best support you in that moment. Patchouli, oh my God, I don't even have that. Patchouli and lavender. I love patchouli for sleep, right? There's so many different oils that can support you, but know you have options and just keep playing with them, all right? And I'll definitely be able to make a bit more specific answering questions in the Q&A, but hopefully that helps you. Now, for those that don't yet have a wholesale account and that have been shared this recording or watching it live, know that when you do join a doTERRA team, or if you're already in a doTERRA team, they have community and support around you. And so if you're not getting the results that you want from the oils, just reach out to the community, okay? Because it's important that you're understanding how you're using what you've invested in. And we want to make sure that you're getting the results. And like I said, my husband has different oils that at bedtime, he loves cedarwood on his big toe. That's it. Like that's his job done. The roller bottle next to my bed that I have at the moment for sleep has frankincense, lavender peace, balance, and arbor vitae. Oh, it just every time amazing. The other one I've tried, Manuka Touch, an amazing sleep oil. My husband, my son, lavender. My daughter, sometimes it's console, sometimes it's adaptive, sometimes it's wild orange, sometimes it's fennel. Like just ask, just reach out and tap into the community, okay? But take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live, all right? And if you're not supporting the sleep environment, I mean, even to the point of bed hygiene, we didn't even cover that tonight, but you know, washing your linen, you can even clean your mattress with some bicarb and some purify or tea tree or lemon or something, and just sprinkle it out onto the mattress and vacuum it up, right, to really refresh your mattress and your pillows. Leave your pillows out in the sun. Your sun is going to be the best thing that's going to be able to cleanse your pillows from dust mites and all of the nasty stuff. Wash your linens. I'm probably the worst person to say that, you know, but it is. It's really, really important. Get a beautiful room mist, right? You can get a little spray bottle and just put some oils that you love and set the tone and just spray it into the air. There's so many little things that you can create, mini moments to support yourself in the wind down process to have a beautiful night's sleep. The one thing that I forgot that isn't in here is the, this is how we can stay connected. This is my handle. You probably already know that, but is the Chinese clock, time clock. Would you actually like to see that? We might be in this one. Where is it? I've got lots of presentations. No, it's not that one either. No. Anyway, I'll find it for you. I'll find it for you. Does anyone have any particular times? Here it is. It's on a different presentation. Does anyone have any particular times that maybe they wake up in the middle of the night that they want me to check on? Finn always asks for bergamot. Any insight to why? Bergamot is a beautiful uplifting oil to the self-esteem. It's a very calming oil. So bergamot is the flavoring they put in Earl Grey tea, and so many people have teas at bedtime. Probably wouldn't recommend Earl Grey because it does have caffeine in it. But Earl Grey, again, being a citrus, it's very calming, a bit like wild orange. I would say like lemon and things, not so much, but definitely bergamot and wild orange will still be calming to the body, but uplifting to the mood, for sure. But it's a really big one for the self, right? It's from an emotional perspective. If there's like anxiety, bergamot is a really beautiful, uplifting one for the self. So it's a beautiful one for kiddies, because I think kids have so much going on and they don't know what it is and they don't know how to communicate it. So it's just really, it's perfect. It's perfect. Ali saying, interesting, Sarah, I was meditating this morning and I was asking myself what I needed and bergamot popped into my mind. I'm brand new to oils and I have no idea, but I'm so intrigued. 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. Okay. That's your liver, darling. So between 1 and 3 is the liver. So that's what I would be saying in around that space. Again, 1 and 3 is the liver. And actually, Lou, could you just cover, like, I'm just going to put you on the spot here, a little bit on liver, because I know you just the genius in this space.
So liver emotionally. So if you want to have a look at, and this is a good way to look at the body clock as well. So there's a couple of things. Obviously, you want to look at the physical aspect and the emotional aspects. The liver emotionally is quite often like anger, grudges, like letting frustrations kind of get the better of you. So quite often what you'll find is if you actually start writing down all of the things that are going on for you physically and emotionally, it'll be the same oils that will be useful with both. So for example, there's a lot of oils that are in the Zendocrine blend, detoxification blend, which are also very supportive for things like your anger and frustration. So that's one way to look at it. I mean, the other way is definitely physical stuff as well. And so the liver kind of hosts, and I suppose this is where the anger and the frustration comes in too, because the liver kind of hosts all of the toxins that go through your body and basically does that in order to protect your more important organs like your heart and your brain from those toxins getting to those areas. And if it doesn't have a chance to detox the toxins fully, it just kind of stores them until it can get to them at a later date. So I had a lot of issues with this, and I was always waking up at that same time of night. And for me, it's been quite a journey. You know, look at a lot of different things as far as detoxing the way you eat, detoxing your personal care, your cleaning, with just reducing that toxic load however you can. And for different people, that's going to look different. Like, it is a mammoth task. You know, we're talking mattresses, bed linen, clothes, like furniture, the whole lot really is exposing us to toxins and chemicals every day. And obviously we're not all going to go and like be able to change that immediately, but there's some really simple quick things that you can do. And obviously things like alcohol and coffee and all of that, stimulants that we were talking about before, as well as taking the supplements and using things like lemon in your water, lemon essential oil, that will actually support your liver to get rid of those toxins. And those supplements are really key in that, because they contain a particular combination of supplements, nutrients and minerals and vitamins that you need in order to be able to get rid of those toxins at all. So yeah, liver is a big one, and quite often when people are waking up at the same time every night, it's often that time.
It is. And like, I think you nailed it. I think, like you said, I forgot about the endocrine complex. It is a really important one. It's not something that you have to use during bedtime, but it is something that you can incorporate during the day. You could even apply it topically over the liver, like with some carrier oil, right, to support it more localized. Helichrysum.
And I think what you just said as well, Hayley, is really important in sleep context, is when you're looking at better sleep, it's not just something that you suddenly think about at night time. It needs to be something that starts from the moment that you wake up. Like, red light is the light that we all get in the morning. And that is actually what starts the production or the creation of melatonin in the body. So it's really only the secretion of that happens later on. So if we're not getting enough red light, our body is even really capable of effectively creating that melatonin in the first place. And you know, that's naked light in the morning. That's not through sunnies. That's not looking out the window. That's actually that's all we do. We all, especially in Australia, we walk out the front door, put our sunnies on, jump in the car, and no one's getting enough red light, let alone minimize the blue light at the other end of the day. So I think that was a really important message. What you said for me anyway, is that it's a throughout the day thing, like our sleep. It's not something that we should just about when we can't do it at bedtime.
Oh, for sure. And you actually reminded me of something then as well, because I was such a night owl up until 3 years ago when I moved to Queensland and realized, oh my God, the mornings are an actual thing up here and there's no daylight savings. So, you know, summertime, it's like 4:45 and the sun's coming up. And so 5 a.m. is a thing up here, right? And I figured, well, let's embrace it. And you can't just burn the candle at both ends. You know, you've got to figure out a way to get to bed earlier if you want to get up earlier. But for me, we don't sleep with the curtains closed. I do for the kids. Like, come on, I'm not an idiot. Like, I want them to sleep as long as possible. But for me, I want to allow my body to go into its natural rhythm. And for that exact same reason, the natural sunlight kind of will wake me up, right? And I have to remind myself that when it does that, I've had enough sleep. Get up, Hayley. Because if I don't get up then the brain kicks in and goes, what time is it? It's too early. And it's actually not, right? So if you've woken up naturally from natural causes and the sunlight is coming up, honor that. If it's earlier than you've ever gotten up before, awesome. You might actually have some time to yourself in the morning. Go outside and watch the sun come up. That's the red light that you're talking about. Like, literally watching the sunrise is the best thing that you can do to regulate that. And if we ever get to freaking travel again, and like, oh, if only I can deal with jet lag, the best thing that you could possibly do is spend as much time out in natural daylight, you know, to recalibrate your circadian rhythm. So, and that's the other thing is like daylight savings. you know, you only shift your clock an hour, but that's literally moving every single organ in your body's detoxification phase by 50%, right? Because normally each phase is about 2 hours. And so, yeah, even an hour difference can make a huge difference. So if you've ever had to fly from Queensland to Victoria or to Adelaide or WA, like even those couple of hours can really impact our sleep. So don't beat up on yourself. Just understand what your body's going through and try and support it as best as possible. But I love the reminder that your liver is connected to the emotions. And again, forgive is another beautiful oil that supports that anger and frustration, right? There's other oils too, like thyme, and I mean, I probably wouldn't want to use thyme for sleep, but that's another emotional oil for releasing and forgiving and stuff. But
thyme is a great oil for sleep if you sleep with a snorer.
Tell me all about this, Louise.
Thyme on the big toe.
Of course.
It's not a myth.
That's so true. I forgot Dr. Hill told us that. Same for snoring. Thyme on the big toe for snoring. I bet.
Yeah. And I guess that's the other thing is I can't remember on the body clock. I think it's about 5 a.m. But that's the time. That's your lungs and your respiratory system. I think that's the time. And so then you might want to look at, you know, is there grief and sadness, which is the emotions that are connected to the lungs and respiratory system. So if you haven't taken note and you're someone who wakes up through the night, it is worth taking note of the time and just noticing these things and maybe having a look at that body clock, and you know what system that is, that you need to support, and having a look into the emotional side of that as well as stuff. But yeah, time on the big toe if you're with a snorer. Yeah. Either in your diffuser, time on their big toe.
And even like the diffuser on yours. Easier, right? Easier is a great oil to open up the airways, open up, like again, if that grief is happening, opening up the capacity to breathe, right? To increase the oxygen intake. Now that's a good thing to help our body heal and do its stuff, is the more oxygen we can get into our brain. Now, this is a test. How are you actually breathing through both nostrils right now? You can actually like hold both nostrils like this and then close one off. I want you to breathe in and then the other side. So right now for me, they're actually even, which is pretty rare. It's probably because I've been smelling Clarify so much this week because it's in the BOGO box. But you might even be surprised that you might have one blocked nostril, right? Which can also be inhibiting, you know, the amount of oxygen you're actually getting while sleeping. And then using some easy air before you go to bed or diffusing it with some lavender and some other calming oils can be really effective too. Does anyone have any other questions as we're coming up to the completion of our 60-minute little sleep masterclass and Q&A? If anyone wants to unmute. And the other thing is, if you have any crystals in your bedroom, they can be like puppy dogs, energetically wise. I would move them out of the bedroom as just in case that they're not stimulating your subconscious. I know there are some crystals that can be very grounding, but a lot of them can be playful with your energy even while you're sleeping. And then, of course, mobile phones and like charging things, just getting them away from your bed head, getting them out of the room if possible, at the other side of the bedroom, or just nowhere near your brain while you're sleeping as well. Now, Michelle, did that help you at all, darling? Because I know that you had a few extra questions there, and I put some extra oils in there at the end.
Yeah, no, it sure did. I've taken lots of notes and I'm looking forward to trying. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, darling. Sarah, how about you? Oh, she's got her little ones.
I just figured out how to unmute myself.
Oh.
No, I'm just the biggest one for me is Cleo. I play around all the time with different things for her, and yeah, I think it's like your daughter. One thing works one night and then it doesn't, and I feel like at 2.5 she's not old enough to tell me.
Well, I mean, my son was 18 months old when I got them, and my daughter was 3.5. And she actually picked wild orange for bedtime on the very first day that I got my oils, because I got it in my pack. And I said, no, you can't use that. We have that in the morning. We use lavender at bedtime. And then 6 months of trying all the things. And then what does she pick at the end? Wild orange. So she is absolutely old enough, even though this is the thing with children, they intuitively know what's going to help them. Just because children can't verbalize something doesn't mean you can't. Like literally what I did with my daughter is I picked up all the roller bottles and I showed her the bottom. So she didn't pick by color. And I said, which one do you want for bed? And she touched a bottle and then I mixed it up and I did it again. Which one do you want? And 3 times out of 3, she picked wild orange. All right. So trust your daughter. Trust in her selection. What's the worst that can happen? Juniper berry, we haven't talked about that. It's another one, great one for nightmares and night terrors. So juniper berry works on a subconscious level for fears. And what it does is it gives you courage, your subconscious courage to overcome things that it might be experiencing in that dream state. Now, I tried this on my daughter as well, and she started having arguments with people in her sleep, verbally. I'm like, well, you clearly don't need more courage, so we won't be using juniper berry for you at bedtime. But sometimes it's just like another beautiful woman in my team, Kerry, like she had terrible issues with her daughter or son, her daughter, I think, with sleep. And the first night she used juniper berry in the diffuser, just went away, just stopped. First time in years. And she's just like, this has changed my life, like a couple of drops of juniper berry. So trust her that she's going to add juniper berry to the cart. Okay, Ali. We'll have a chat tomorrow, Ali, about sleep, I think, for your kiddies. What are the little diffusers you use for the kids? Okay, so Louise and I have been doTERRA for a little while, and we tend to pick up the kind of exclusive oils, exclusive diffusers as doTERRA releases them. So my son has an elephant, but my daughter has the Brevi. But I love actually the Lumo or the Petal. They're both great. Any diffuser is great. And because they all go up to 10 to 12 hours now intermittent, they're perfect for a bedroom. They're really, really great. So you can't go wrong. Julie's saying, I use the Lumo and the Brevi. Yeah. Yep. What's the one that looks like a little mushroom or something? Is that the Brevi, like the flat little one? Or the roundy one? We can talk about this later. I can show you all the diffusers. I don't have them here. All right, everyone. Oh, Lottie's still awake. Yes, let's chat. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you have any continued questions, just feel free to reach out to myself or Louise. And I mean, Louise, what's your handle on social media now, darling? Are you still Creative Oak Essential Oils? Whoop. Yeah? No, I can't hear you, sweetie.
Sorry, I missed that question.
Do you create Evoke Essential Oils?
On Instagram?
Yeah.
Lou Lethbridge.
Oh, you look okay. Cough, cough. And I am Ikigai. And of course, just go. Tell me what you're putting. Like go, and tomorrow tell us what you put in the diffuser tonight, and either tag us in your diffuser blend for tonight. We would love to see what you choose to use to support your restful night's sleep for you and your family. All right, everyone. Mwah. Ciao. Bye.